I'm a consultant that worked with Santam. Well, I still do work with them, but this case study covers the period from 2006 to 2010. Very similar to the previous speaker, what Santam were wanting to do was to position themselves to be one of the best in the world. Okay, the challenges that they had to reposition their brand back in 2006, and may still have some of those, was that they were not seen as a vibe brand. They were seen as Boer, mainly Afrikaans, very white male. They were seen as not being able to attract black talent because they didn't appear to have a BE strategy. They did have one, but nobody seemed to know about it, and it wasn't making much progress. Although they've got a 23% market share in the short-term insurance sector, they weren't seen as one of these sexy financial services companies like the portfolio managers or the asset managers. So they weren't attracting the financial talent at the baseline, which was from universities. Because although later on, as you move through the business, you're competing within the sector, when you start out, you're competing with anyone who needs somebody with a BCom, or anyone who needs somebody with those basic financial qualifications. And then even within Santam, people didn't have a very clear understanding of what the employee value proposition was. They had some experience of working there, but they weren't really in touch with what the total package was and all the things they had actually had access to. And because of this, they were not very good brand ambassadors for the employee brand. So we know that companies with a very clearly articulated EVP are the ones that can attract the best talent. And from Santam's perspective, what the EVP meant would be to spell out what's good about working at your company, what differentiates you and what you stand for. And what they were saying to their clients through this brand proposition was, we want to make your life safer and more rewarding. So what they needed to do was to say, okay, if this is our client proposition, how do we make our employees' lives safer and more rewarding? Because that would be the way that they could become brand ambassadors for the Santam brand. And beyond attracting people, there's also the retention issue. I'm sure everybody who has anything to do with people or HR struggles with the issue of retaining talented staff, probably even more than attracting them in the first place. And really, retention is about that total EVP package. It's about the things that people want about working in a particular company. So money is important, and in a financial services business, money tends to be perhaps more important than it might be in other businesses, because you do attract the kind of people that where money is very important. But beyond that, it was about working for a company with a good reputation, working for a brand with a good reputation, giving people the opportunity to grow and to realize their own ambitions. And these are the kind of things that people in Santam were saying were important to them. The first thing that we did on this journey was to say, okay, we have an aspiration, but what have we got in the business at the moment? What is our package? What is our total package that we offer people? And we engaged with the advertising company, FCB, to come up with a kind of an image and an icon for us around how we could package the EVP. And they came up with Life Under the Yellow Umbrella. And the purpose of this was to, first of all, create the package so that you could communicate that out to employees and say, this is what you've got by working at Santam. And then secondly, to be able to analyze what you had in the package and to say, how well does this align with your brand values? So we divided the EVP into these main sections, and these are the kind of sections that the research indicates that are important. The first is that people want to work for a company of substance and with good reputation. They want to know that they are valued, so that's about the culture. They want opportunity to grow. They want money and reward, and they obviously want recognition among their peers and the company itself. And in Santam, a very important differentiator was this last one, which is about care. So these were the 5 aspects of working under the yellow umbrella. So company of substance is probably its biggest leverage. As I've said, it's 90 years old. It's market sector leader. It's got 23% market share. It was the first insurance company in South Africa. It's the parent of the Santam Group. And apart from that, in terms of short-term insurance, it's in every segment of insurance. So it's not just personal insurance and commercial insurance. It's in art, it's in agribusiness, it's in all the sectors that anyone who is turned on by insurance or working in insurance would want to be in. And this reflects back to people by offering them a huge range of opportunity, of career opportunity. The second thing that we saw that was really important was to leverage the benefit of being in the Santam Group. Santam Group employs 22,000 people. It is across all the financial services sectors, and because of its muscle, it has an enormous range of benefits. So medical aid was not a problem. There's all kinds of benefits you can get by working at Santam, because they can use their money muscle to get discounts on all kinds of things. And people did, and obviously they knew, it wasn't a secret, but it wasn't prominent. People didn't know that this is what they could access, this is how they could benefit more than maybe working in another company. So we decided that leveraging that was really important. And another way that this whole company of substance came to the fore was in the financial crisis in 2008, because Santam didn't have to restructure, it didn't retrench people, it paid salary increases every year and it paid bonuses. And that was very different from what was happening among the rest of its competitors. So these are the kind of things that they needed to communicate better to their employees, because once you're in a company, it's very easy not to look outside or only to cherry pick what you compare with. Somebody got down the road, got a better salary offer. So you think that that company must be a much better place to work for. The important thing, as the previous speaker spoke about, was underlying all of this is the company culture. Now, obviously, all companies have got a culture, but what they did in Santam was they went out to their employees to find out first, what is it that people want? What will make your lives safer and more rewarding? We know what the general surveys say, what international research says, but what do our employees want? That's what we need to know. So they did that, but they also did work on saying, what are the values in this company that underlie our brand that we stand for in the marketplace? So having the facilitated focus groups, which were facilitated by Yellowwood brand architects, they came up with 7 values that underlie their business, and these were grouped into 3 core philosophies. So the first one is inspire, which is about passion and commitment. The second is about embrace, which is about care and integrity. And the third one is about think big, which is about diversity, inventiveness, and excellence. I think one of the key programs that they introduced during that period that was very much sought after by employees was their recognition program. They didn't start it as a greenfield. They used the Santam program that had already been developed, but they rebranded it in their own way. And this, once again, this fits into supporting the brand values. The other program that was very well received was the concierge program, which they named Yell for Yellow. Part of the concierge program is this mini that people are allowed to drive and that they use to do deliveries, personal deliveries. And the idea around the concierge service is that it gives a 24/7 service to help people achieve work-life balance. And the idea being that if you're at home and you're worrying about the plumber and the electrician and fetching your motor license, that you're not focusing on your work. So it's a benefit to the person, because standing in line for your motor license is a pain, but it's a benefit to the company as well. And it has a number of other things like homework help. There's a homework person at the end of a line that you can get to help with your children's homework. It's got all kinds of things. It's amazing. Yeah. And this obviously was very well received. And I think what we're saying is what they're trying to do at Santam is to say people are important to us, we value you, and these are the initiatives we are going to put in place to support you. Now, they're not perfect. It's not a perfect program. And I think what the other thing I wanted to say was that sometimes it seems as though you've got to have this overall strategy. You have to have this perfect EVP that fits perfectly with your brand, but you don't have to do that. You can start with small things. You can start in different places. You could start with a recognition program. You could start with a concierge service. And you can pull it all together into a package and explain to people where you are and where you're going. And you get a huge amount of goodwill just on the basis that you are on this journey. So Santam, obviously, they need to measure. They are a financial services company. So they decided quite early on in 2005, this is an extract from their board report. It's about the Best Company to Work For survey. Our ongoing participation in this survey will be the basis for improvement of all our human resources practices working towards 2010. Our long-term objective is to be in the top 10 best companies to work for. By being in the top 10, we will be able to attract the best talent and unlock value for our shareholders. So in 2005, they were 33 out of 121. And by the end of our program in 2009, they were number 1 in the large company category. So they achieved that objective. In 2011, they've refreshed their customer brand. You've probably seen their ad. It's about insurance good and proper. They've got a new executive head of people and brand, and she still says the people at Santam are the integral part of the brand and brand delivery. So they're still on the same journey. What is different is once you've changed your customer brand out there or refreshed it or repositioned it, the EVP has to change as well. And that's the journey they're on now. The emphasis is, it's just a change in emphasis. It's more on integrity and more on performance. And that's where the program, which is now called Inside Out Excellence, will lead into the future. And just to leave you with this from Margaret, my wish is for every Santamer to become a brand ambassador who will deliver on our brand promise that will result in happy clients and happy shareholders, which is very much the same as my predecessor said. Thank you.
This video was developed by the CRF Institute